Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 13th of August, year 2025. Welcome. I guess we just passed the 8.8 portal, so I'm hoping everyone experienced the transformation. It's supposed to be a huge portal this year. So we just had it this Friday, and it was full moon as well. So great time to be doing meditation. So let me go ahead and I think everybody's familiar with the panel, so but I'll introduce everyone to the panel. We have April back after a very long time, so welcome back, April. April is a psychic, a medium. She has quite a few modalities of healing under her belt. She leads quite a few workshops, always leads one of the workshops here when we hold group workshops on the weekends. And then we have Lakshmi with us, who's also one of our workshop leaders. She leads around the topic of mantra chanting, and she has a group that meets every Tuesday, right? And then you said on Sundays you have a Q&A as well.
Every month.
Every month. If anybody's interested, please contact Lakshmi. And then we have Francesca back. Good evening, Francesca. Thank you for joining. Francesca is part of our group. She contributes a lot to our Facebook group in responses. So grateful for all your presence. And Josie is here online. Good evening. So today's topic actually is something, April, I wanted to bring up. I was going to make this like a short Facebook Live video for myself, but I thought I might as well like discuss it. One of the things that I've noticed over the past few years, right? So I want you to speak, all of you to speak to the fact that when we are in presence, this is what Eckhart's pointers to alignment with inner beingness or alignment with presences. My experience of the past few years has been that the universe is constantly listening to every intention that we are putting out there. It's not like my experience has been that it's not like you sit, a lot of people say kneel down and now you do a prayer and please God manifest this for me. It's not something like that. And I'll give you a few examples. So one of the examples that I've given even last time when we met for Facebook Live is I missed the 4th of July fireworks, right? And as Dr. Joe says, right, when you are in that void, things happen out of nothing, out of nowhere, out of no time. Things manifest. It doesn't require anything. You don't have to do anything to make it manifest, right? So I was like, oh my God, I missed the 4th of July fireworks. Then we did on 4th of July, it was a Friday, we were doing group meditation, Josie, Wyatt, and I. And then once we finished group meditation, I suddenly heard like something like thunderstorms. So I went out in the front, on my front porch. And what I noticed was my neighbors had started lighting. In my neighborhood, we can light fireworks. And my neighbors had started lighting fireworks. So the universe heard my intention that I wanted to watch fireworks and I had missed it. The same way, I'll give you small examples, right? Like sometime in these past 2-3 years while watching Medical Medium and watching him cook, if anybody has watched Medical Medium do his lives, you'll notice that he has a white backsplash with white cabinets, right? And my desire was like his back panel is like white tile. The backsplash is white tile and the cabinets are white, right? So a thought arose to me that I wish I had a kitchen that had white backsplash and white cabinets, right? And it so happened that okay, I was in the process of buying a house. I didn't get the house that I wanted. My salesperson said, no, there's this other house that has come up on sale, right? Why don't you take this house? So I went ahead and took the house that she had suggested. Well, I mean, it comes cookie cut, right? Like I had no changes to design changes because it was already a spec home. It already had been built. And then I enter the house and it has a white backsplash and a white cabin. Right? It's like when I was in my other apartment, I would go in my bathroom was in like a very dark corner. There was not very much light. I would go, why can't I have sunlight in my bathroom? And this house, which I was offered because the salesperson wanted to sell me this house, there's like those frosted glass windows. They're frosted glass windows. Like there's a huge window, there's a vanity, and there's a frosted glass window. There's a frosted glass window over my stall. So there's so much sunlight. So what I feel is, and this is why I very much believe in Dr. Joe's meditations. I believe in the process of meditation. I trust the process of meditation, right? I trust the 2-hour meditation. If you can do 3 hours, do 3 hours of meditation. I trust the process of meditation because I have, and I want this for everyone, right? I want everyone to be able to enjoy this kind of manifestation where out of nothing, out of nowhere, out of no time, things are happening for you and it gives you joy. Like I enjoyed the fireworks after that meditation for 40 minutes or so. I just watched my neighbors light fireworks all around me, right? This neighbor started, then this neighbor started, then somebody behind me started. And it's like for 40 minutes, I saw fireworks like right there in front of my eyes. I didn't have to go nowhere, nothing. And it was like people were lighting up. The same thing, go nowhere. No, and they're like little things in the house, right? When I was in one, I told you about uh, the lighted bathroom. Then there was another time that I was thinking, like the drawer in which I would put my hair dryer, right? It would always take, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't deep enough, right? I was like, why don't they make deep enough drawers where you can put your hair dryer easily, right? Every morning it's like a struggle. And now near my vanity, there's like a deep, like slender drawer, like a cabinet sort of thing, where exactly I can put my hair dryer. So there's so many things that I must have just thought about. And I see that it has manifested in real 3D world just because I had the thought. But the thought was not a prayer. It was not like I knelt down and I prayed, oh, please, God, give me a house where I have a drawer. So I want y'all to speak to that, how y'all have experienced things and what does it take? And this is what Eckhart is promising, right? When you have that alignment with inner beingness, when you are in that solid presence, this is the joy that you can experience, right? Joy of manifestation. Go ahead, April. Thank you.
So trying to figure out where I want to start with this. So most of us who are listening to this channel are in well, I don't know. Maybe I should back up. So our bodies, our cells, our soul that's within our body is a radio receiver. We emit energy, but we also receive energy. And every thought that we have sends a signal out. So the universe is listening. we can call that universe or God. It's called spirit, it's called creator. But the basic idea is to realize that you are sending out energy all the time. Every thought that you have has an energy to it. Every thought that you have has a frequency. And the universe is constantly listening. It's constantly responding to that energy. So your mind has a thought. The thought goes to the brain. The brain then enacts the nervous system. The nervous system creates the chemicals, which creates the emotion. But all of that is energy. All of that is electrical actions that happen within the body. So when someone says, you know, I'm sad or I'm feeling down, that's why we say to them most of the time, what have you been thinking? Because the brain gets enacted, the nervous system turns on, the nervous system releases chemicals in relation to the thought that you're having. That then causes the emotion. So when you're having all of these thoughts so this is the key with Joe Dispenza, is the thoughts that you're having are creating a certain emotion. And if we want something, we want to manifest something, we need to be in the frequency of it. So the emotion needs to match the manifestation or the desire. So that's why I broke it down a little bit more for you to understand that if it's what you're thinking, which is going to create the emotion within the body, and then that is going to be your energetic signature. That's what you're going to be sending out to the world, to the universe. And then the universe responds to what you're sending out. Everything that is already is. Everything that you want is already there. It's not a matter of you actually. So we call it manifestation, but in a way it's not really manifestation because it's already there, because everything already is. It's more of a becoming in alignment with that for it to show up in your life, really. So there's a lot of, learning manifestation, attraction, all of that. And while in a way it is true, but then in a way, if you really understand, you have to decide, like, well, which way do you want it? Are you creating, or is it already all there? Well, it's already all there. Everything that is, right? So you've already created that reality. It's just a matter of getting in alignment with it. And the more that you become that frequency, the more that you match that energy, the more you will see these things show up in your life. These, we can call them manifestations. So the thing about you, Poonam, is that, you do your meditation. You are very conscious. You are very aware. You have that self-awareness. You observe yourself. You've done the work. You have changed your being, who you are as a person. And you also live in gratitude. That's a huge key, is living in gratitude, because the more that you have gratitude for the cup that you have or that piece of paper that you have, the more that you practice that gratitude, the more you can manifest. Not only manifest, but it's putting you on that frequency of what you want. And it's also putting you in the frequency to bring more to you. If you're in the frequency of lack and sadness and despair and difficulty, you're expelling, you're pushing it away from you. So when you're in gratitude, you have to be in your heart space to be in gratitude. You have to be in the heart center. And when you're in the heart center, that's the center of love, which is the center of connection, which is what's going to bring these things to you in your life. So I'm trying to think of like an example for me, but there's manifestation can happen as little as, you know, getting a piece of paper, a simple piece of paper, to manifesting a house. Like, it's a wide spectrum. So I do remember one that I remember specifically is I needed some money at one point in my life. I mean, you always need money, but I needed like a larger amount of money, and this was several years ago, and I really didn't know how it was going to happen, but I needed it for a bill that was due, and I was practicing the being in gratitude. The universe is in charge. This is going to happen. It's going to come to me. And I ended up getting a rebate check out of the blue for like $328 from AT&T, for no less. It was insane. It was just, you know, so crazy. So that's an example of one that happened. But the other key to this is you practice this really well, Poonam, is you can't be attached to those things, those manifestations, those things that you want. You can't be attached to whether they show up or not. So many people that I've heard will tell you the story of doing a vision board, and then they'll turn around years later and they'll be like, I'm living in the house that's on my vision board and I didn't even realize, or I have that car, or I went on that vacation. Because you need to create the idea. And again, so we are always in our imagination, actually, because if we're in the past, that we're imagining that, and if you're in the future, you're imagining that. So we actually use our imagination quite a bit, but you can't be attached to whether these things are going to happen. The attachment to whether they're going to happen, that's what creates despair, because we are looking for it to show up, and when it doesn't show up by 24 hours and 5 minutes, that's it. Universe isn't listening to me, doesn't like me, doesn't love me. It loves everybody else, right? So and that's another thing that you're really good at, is you are not attached to whether it shows up or whether it doesn't. You just let the universe do its own magic. But you also keep that frequency of gratitude. You keep that frequency of happiness, of abundance is coming to me. So it's a reciprocal flow that keeps happening. And I guess that's my 2 cents.
Beautiful. Infinite gratitude. Always, always steeped in wisdom. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me go to Lakshmi before Lakshmi drops. Lakshmi, you want to, and I do have a question for you, April, but let Lakshmi speak. Go ahead, Lakshmi.
Actually, I don't really have much more to add than what April said. April summed it up, what manifestation actually means. And yes, Poonam, you practice it, and you are not attached to whatever you ask for, and that's why things show up. So I cannot think of any things on top of my head, but I do have things like that happen in my life also once in a while. Like I remember a few years back, all of my meditation friends, we wanted to go to a restaurant, and there were 10 people, and I didn't book a table. We just showed up and they said, oh, you need to book ahead, we don't have a table for 10. And then just then he said somebody had booked a table for 10 people and they ended up canceling it. So things like
Exactly.
that, I don't have.
Yeah, exactly. That's a prime example.
Yeah. So things like that show up. It's just amazing. And I think a few weeks back, I asked, because once I was in this path, I started chanting or using Marianne Williamson quote, "Dear God, use me so I may know the joy of being used by you." So many people started coming into my life, and then I loved giving them spiritual guidance. And of late, I felt that nobody is coming, and then I'm like, what happened? And I again started chanting, "Use me, dear God." And beginning from 8/8, it's just people coming into my life. Yeah, I'm so glad that universe is using me, and grateful, so yeah, so April said, manifestation can be anything. It need not be a materialistic, I mean, a big thing, like even a piece of paper you can manifest. So
Exactly.
yes, I have this group on Facebook where people just give away the things that they end up we people receive the things that they need. So I started putting away a lot of things from my house. And then on the other day, I had excess of milk because my friend's sister suddenly passed away, and I had to clean up her fridge. And I just posted, "Anyone needs milk?" And my friend was just talking to her husband that we need to go to store to get milk. And she sees the message and just turns and then picks up the milk. And her husband is, "Why are you turning here? You said you need to go to the you know it's example of how sometimes things align, even for
Exactly.
people who are not on the path. So yeah, beautiful, Poonam. This whole life itself is just so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
doing the work, to
Thank you.
both of you, April and Lakshmi. Um, so April, you were explaining Dr. Joe's methodology, and what Dr. Joe says is the thought sends the signal out. That's the intention. And the emotional field that we are in is what pulls the experience in this present moment. So if I'm in the emotional state of despair, like you were saying, right? Despair or resentment or anger or so-called negative emotions, then I'm pulling more despair, more anger, more frustration, right? So that's why he says every day reset your, like, get into that brain and heart coherence. And that's where the daily meditation practice helps get into that brain and heart coherence. So you are in an elevated state. And because of the elevated state, now you're pulling whatever is in your present moment. For that matter, just like how Lakshmi stated, right? You won't believe it. Uh, I went into meditation. In my dream, I saw that there was Dr. Joe at a retreat, and that there was a female sitting next to him and leading the meditation. This was back in December, right? I see this vision. Like he says, the veil is thinning. And the next minute, I see a video where Dr. Joe has used Melan. I don't know if y'all have seen the video of Melan and Dr. Joe doing meditations live at his retreat in Cancun. I was like, oh my God, I already saw that vision like a week or two before it happened. Right? So I wanted you to speak before I go to Francesca, April, about you said if we are not in vibrational match, we won't be able to pull the experience to us, right? Which is the elevated, we have to be in that elevated state of gratitude, profound love for life, joy for existence, right? So how will a person who's very new, like you, I think this group, like the people here on the panel, are pretty experienced. They know when they're not the vibrational match, right? But if I'm very new, like a lot of people, a lot of members are new, how are they going to figure out, oh, I'm not a vibrational match right now?
Mm.
How will they determine that? And how do they reset? Then once they detect that, how do they reset it so that they become a vibrational match? Thank you.
Yeah. So, normally what I do with my clients, one of the main things that I work on is learning self-awareness. And Eckhart teaches that a lot. Joe Dispenza, he teaches that a lot. It's the ability to observe yourself, and you're observing your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. That is crucial. Learning to become self-aware, learning to pay attention to what you're thinking. And when you have an emotion or a feeling, paying attention to that emotion or feeling and asking yourself, why am I feeling this way? But so really the first step is learning. What I teach is for them to start paying attention to the negative thinking. The way to know that you are off is, quite frankly, you don't feel good. You feel unhappy, you feel sad, you feel angry, frustrated, jealous, all of these emotions, they don't feel good. When you are in vibrational match to anything, really, even if you just want to have a good day, you don't really need anything to manifest. You're not looking for anything. You just want to have a good day. Because you don't always have to, manifest a car or something. Sometimes we just need a good day. But if you're going through your day and you just don't feel good, you're feeling sad or mad or all of that, you have to start paying attention to, well, why am I feeling this way? And usually it's not that a person can't wake up and maybe feel off, or it's one of those days where you say, I should go back to bed. But most of the time it's your thinking. It is your thinking. It's what you're thinking and how you're thinking, the things that you're thinking. So the thing to do is to start paying attention to your emotions, to how you feel, and then ask yourself, what have you been thinking for the last 10 minutes, the last half hour? Maybe it's a whole day. And the thing is, though, is that some people do need like a coach or a counselor or somebody to point it out to them. Some people, they've been doing these behaviors for so long, they don't even realize that they're doing it. They don't even realize. I don't know if it was on your group. I think it was on your group, or maybe it was another group. There was a person that was basically, they were what ifing. What if the world didn't get better? What if, you know, war continued? What? And I said, why are we what ifing? Why are we doing that?
Mhm.
That is, it's going to cause you anxiety. It's going to cause you despair. Why are we doing that? Some people have been doing these behaviors for so long, their habit, and they don't realize it. Another good practice is to actually, it's kind of doing like Katie Byron, it's to actually question what you're thinking. Is that actually true that you're bad at your job? Is that really true? You're just bad at your job? Is it true? Because most of the time it's not, but you've been thinking that so long, you don't even realize that that's not even a real thought.
Mhm.
So you have to become self-inquisitive. You have to question yourself and your thinking. So to me, again, I always, how do you want to be? And if you want to be a certain way, then you become self-aware of all the ways you are not doing that. It's not to beat yourself up, but how you want to be. So if I want to be peaceful, then I become self-aware of all the ways I am not being peaceful. And I start to create change towards that. I don't expect perfection. I expect progress. How do I be peaceful? Well, I practice acceptance. I practice forgiveness. I practice letting go. I practice gratitude. So first decide how you want to be, and then make little adjustments daily towards that, towards being peaceful, towards being grateful, towards being happy. That's usually what I start with, is self-awareness, and then looking at those thoughts. Your emotions come because of your thoughts. Almost every single time. It's very rare. I mean, you might wake up on the wrong side of the bed, okay, but it's usually because of your thoughts. So, did I answer everything?
Yes.
Did
You
I,
gave
or
quite
did-
you gave quite a few tips. Thank you so much for your insights and wisdom, as
Okay.
always. Eternally grateful. Because you said one, we may not be able to see it at all.
Mhm.
So get a coach,
You
get a
could,
life coach or a counselor or something so that they can point it out. And two,
yeah.
watch your emotions, right? Like, are you frustrated? Are you angry? If you're
Yeah.
in that negative state, then it's time to change your state.
Yeah, you have to really start to think about what you're thinking about. You have to think about what you're thinking about. You have to, that's that self-observance, that self-awareness, where you're
Right.
watching yourself. And I remember when I first did this, I started watching what I was thinking. And after I started it, a few weeks after I started that, I was at the light, the traffic light, and I was just like, this light is taking so long. Why is that pole over there crooked? I don't know why. Like, I was, and there was this point where I was like, oh my God, do I even have a positive thought? I don't even think I have one, not a single one. But it takes awareness to be able to notice that.
Right.
And then you can change it. And then every time I caught myself doing that, I would say, okay, the sky is great. I am fine. We are good. And then 2 seconds later, I'd be thinking, well, that pole's crooked too. Okay, everything is great. We're like, you have to stay on it. You have
I
to stay
remember
on
you
it.
gave us a tip that used the word stop.
Yeah,
Like when
can
you
stop.
see that, and Dr. Joe uses, like, during the progressive course, he has a meditation where he says the word change. The moment you see a thought, oh, that pole is crooked and you need to cut it, right? I use the visual analogy, like, as to, one of those dresses which has strings in the bottom, and like there's those multiple tentacle strings, and then I'm cutting it with a scissor. Like, I visualize that, and then I cut the thought of, oh, the pole is crooked. So I quickly like the what does Dr. Joe call it? The refractory period has to be shortened, like between the time that you get triggered, and that is where your spiritual growth. If your refractory period is very short, then that means you have enough self-awareness to see that the pole is crooked. But oh no, let me think of how grateful I am that I'm in a car which is air conditioned and cool while it's hot outside, right? I have a beautiful car. My 9-year-old car is still running fine, right? My 9-year-old Honda Fit, dinky old car is running fine. Gratitude for it. I like stroke the wheel, right? So
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, April. Always wise. Francesca, you have a lot of stimulation from the conversation. So go ahead.
Oh,
You're smiling a lot, so it resonated with you. So here we go. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to speak to, I guess, I don't even want to use the word manifestation, but let's call it that, from through the lens of presence, or what I also call the 0 point energy field, because it's stillness, with non-attachment to any thought form or feeling form or anything like that. It takes incredible discipline, because it's something I've played with for years. So it's, it takes incredible discipline to remain focused in that energy field of that presence. So I'm going to share just a couple of examples. I mean, I have so many from over the years, but I'll share the most recent one. Yesterday, Charlotte and I were going into the forest, and we're like, okay, well, before she came back, she returned from her grandma. I was like, oh my God. So I was talking to my body, manifesting, right? I'm like, okay, well, as you guys know, I struggle medically. So I'm like, okay, she really wants to do the outdoors. I would like to be able to, I need to be able to keep up with her. I want to take her to some of the most beautiful hikes. Hiking is something I haven't done in so many years, and I just wished, I was like, okay, I really would like my body, to be able to do that, and yesterday and the day before, both days in a row. So it was beautiful. So what happened was, like, on our way the first day, as we're walking to get the sea bus to go across the ocean to the other side, all of a sudden, like, we're walking, and I'm like, okay, Charlotte, I need to stay in this frequency where I'm at for us to be able to do this huge, hike that we want to do. So I'm like, let's, just chill. I'm going to continue to stay present and just flow, right? And she's like, okay. So we're like, la-di-da, happily going, and we're walking through to get to the sea bus. And then all of a sudden, I noticed the frequency in which the pace she was walking at suddenly changed. And because I had to suddenly, almost feel like I was going to have to speed up. And I'm like, wait, hang on, why are you rushing? She's like, I'm like, well, where are you going? She's like, oh, I'm just following all the other people. And I said, why are you doing that? She's like, I don't know. I'm just, because they're all rushing. And I said, oh, no, sweetheart. I'm like, okay, pause. Okay. I'm like, first of all, what you're doing right away is you're plugging into somebody else's stream of consciousness, the external stream of consciousness. I said, those people are rushing. They're all rushing for various reasons, anxiety, so they're feeding whatever it is that they're plugged into their streams of consciousness. And I'm like, you're doing that. You're now piggybacking on that stream of consciousness. You're no longer present. So I'm like, just take a breath, breathe, and I'm like, actually, let's slow down. I said, actually, you know what? Because of that, I'm going to do my Buddha walk. I started laughing, right? And she's just like, she looks at me, she slows down, right? And I'm like, so I was like walking. And then as we got closer, we could see the timer on the train, right? And it says like 1 minute or something like that. She's like, see, if we hurry, like those people, will get on the sea bus, right? And I'm like, you know what, just let's do the Buddha walk. We don't have to catch this sea bus. We can catch the other one. It's okay. Just be, stay grounded, stay grounded. And then all of a sudden, 15-minute comes up, meaning we've now missed the sea bus and we got to wait 15 minutes for the next one. And so as I'm still Buddha walking down to the, where we go through the little thing to get on the sea bus, suddenly the guy that's directing the sea bus, one of the controllers, the SkyTrain person, he looks at us and he's like, hey, do you guys want to get on that one? And I looked at him, so he's like, I'm like, yeah, sure. And even though it's because normally they'd already leave as soon as that timer changed, it means no letting on. They've, ready to go, even if they don't leave right away, right? They're reading the safety thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. He's like, okay, well, hurry up then. So we walked a little fast and he allowed us to go on the sea bus. I started laughing. And of course, I thanked him profusely. And then I sat down and I turned around to Charlotte. And I'm like, what was the lesson that you just learned? Right? I'm like, The universe, I remain grounded, we stay grounded, right? And the universe orchestrated everything just to teach her the most profound lesson. By example, the power of presence, manifestation. Like I have taken that C bus every single day for years. It has never done that before. Like, as soon as the timer changes, it means you're not getting onto that one. You have to wait for the next one. It's like everything just, and the C bus waited, we got on, we sat down, and yeah, I had to laugh at first, and then I, went through the process of the lesson with her, right? And that's like my most, I guess, recent example. The other one was the day, a few days before that on the 8-8 portal. I wish I had it in a way to show you guys, but I post a picture of it on Facebook. I received honor of placing a black diamond plaque of Padma Sambhavava Guru Rinpoche at a ley line, which is what they recommended, right? Like on a positive, like at a ley line or like the ocean or somewhere. It specifically was carved out by a monk, all of it, the whole night. It has specific prayers for protection and all of that stuff. Now that's somebody whom have been in my journey since the very beginning. I've chanted thousands and thousands of this mantra, repetition and stuff as part of my meditative process. And so as soon as I saw this plaque, even though they said they didn't have any left, I knew, every part of me, my heart knew that I needed to place one of these plaques, even though they said, they didn't have any, everybody's collected them, they were already placed. Every speck of me knew that I had to place, and so I reached out anyways. And I said, this is, how he has played a role in my journey. And I would love if there's any left, to place one. I had no idea where we were going to place it and so forth. And within like a short amount of time, they're like, okay, sure. When can you pick it up? We have some in Vancouver. And so sure enough, here we were on the 8-8 portal, one of the most powerful days. We went into the mountains, I invited a couple of friends, Cian, he's the Zen priest, very powerful. He meditated, chose the grid line, and then we placed it so that it, ripples out into, all of Vancouver and so forth, right? And again, that was another simple, easy for me, I call it manifestation, because I don't even know if I want to call it manifestation anymore, because it has to do with presence, is what I'm learning, I guess, is where I'm going with this. The power of presence. And for me, in relation to the question that Poonam asked, about how do we return to that presence, like when we catch the mind wandering, right? And honestly, the only way I'm aware of is by becoming fully aware, being in that state of pure awareness, so that you catch your own thoughts. You can recognize when your mind is, getting entangled in past psychological time or, future psychological time, so away from presence, or if you're, stream of consciousness is becoming entangled with the collective, for example, like Charlotte was as she was walking, right? Suddenly she's like hurrying, like those people. I'm like, I said, like I explained to her, I'm like, you're going to give yourself anxiety. Do you want the anxiety that those people are carrying, or whatever it is that's causing them to rush? I'm like, just breathe, walk like the Buddha. And then I started teaching her, about presence, right? So of course, I capitalize on every teachable moment when it comes to Charlotte, But yeah, meditation is the only way that I'm aware of that helps us to develop the right mind, is what the first step is on the Eightfold Path, in such a powerful way that we come into the state of pure awareness, first awareness and then pure awareness. And when we're in that state of pure awareness, we have the ability to aware, we're sharp. It's like we have the ability to, we're focused, we're aware. Because for myself, the practice is as soon as I'm aware I've drifted, I take that breath. and I come back to presence with my inner body. That's my quickest, for me personally, that's my quickest go-to practice that I've, allowed myself to program. Of course, when it comes to manifestation, I've used it. I don't want to say I've used it. I manifest like I use it, that power of presence when I'm opening up portals, for example, right? I wouldn't get into details of that because it involves a collective and some things. Yeah, I've used it for manifestation, for example. One of my greatest manifestation, because my heart was broken and I was feeling frustration about the journey. And actually, I did the thing where I was like, I started talking to God, whether we call it a prayer or whatever. It was prayer to me, right? I put my hands together, it was, my body had been struggling. Then suddenly I felt like all of a sudden I was like struggling for money because inflation happened twice. It impacted me personally, right? And here I was in this fragile state where, I wasn't working, right? Because I had to focus on my body. So I was like, oh my God, universe, like, here you are, yes, to do this work, I'm willing to be fully present, remain fully present, but there's also this life happening, on this plane, on this surface, and I need money for certain things, right? And then I had a family member, because only family will say things like this and do things like this, where, they said something horrible to me about, because I'm on disability because of my health and everything that happened. They were like, oh, you're living, off of handouts, so they said it in a really horrible way. And, that broke my heart horrifically. It also triggered that amygdala, that old brain. So of course I didn't respond at the time. It was a response, but it was from a much higher tone of voice. It was fierce. It was like, oh my God, you have no idea what I've been doing, blah, 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 and so forth. And you know what? Universe was like, and I remember I sat down and I reflected on my behavior. And, I said, and I recognized, I'm like, oh my God, that really triggered me. So I sat with that awareness, that I felt triggered. And as I sat with this, that's when I started, doing what everybody would refer to as prayer. And I'm like, universe, I was very clear, intentional. And that's the thing about manifestation, is clarity, intentional. And, again, it arising from the purity of presence. And so within a week, or like within a 2-week time frame, my bill for my I started receiving these gifts of money, so even more handouts. I was like, oh, thank you, I welcome these handouts. I was like fiercely like kissing, like, oh my goodness, thank you God, because my bill for the entire year for my hydro bill, it's paid. A whole bunch of things, like some, I started receiving these gifts, and I'm like, oh my God, I've never felt so good about handouts in my life. So I went from like, the opposite to like a big boost from it, and overflowing in gratitude, and ended up in the back of my, as I did my practice, I'm journaling, I'm like writing, profusely thanking, my sister for whatever role she played in causing this, horrible thoughts and feelings, and then me, moving into presence for it to, pull me into presence so deeply, because that's how we, as alchemists, that's how we turn metal into gold, right? We use any form of pain or hardship or whatever the case may be as our practice, right? So by using that as a practice and coming into presence, all of a sudden, again, it's free money when somebody's paid for all of your bills and all of these things suddenly, right? And so yeah, for me, it's personally, it's manifestation comes from that space of presence with discipline to, for example, if I open up a portal, it's very important to not become, to make sure that I remain in, I call it like, it's like working with the element of the wind, right? So that beautiful space of stillness without becoming attached or clingy or anything to any future psychological time thought that, you know, the mind would come up with when we're not present, right? When we're not clear and so forth, right? Or if we're in the pain body, you know, past psychological time or anything. So it's important for me. I've learned to keep that field of energy very clear of any attachment, any formation, any clinging, and so forth. And that's really important, you know, for example, when we're opening up portals, or even right now, I'm rewiring not just my nervous system, like every speck of my being at the cellular level. And in order to be able to do that, I had to become fully present with every speck of my being through my inner body. You know, I could have think of this till the cows come home, even from an enlightened mind, you know, fully aware mind, developed mind. No matter, you know, I could have done all sorts of meditation, and I've tried it, and you know, and yet my heart would have remained in a stress response, because that's what it had become accustomed to since I was a child. That's where it was programmed. And my entire nervous system had been firing and wiring. So even if I'm experiencing meditative bliss, and I can feel it in my mind, and I can manifest, and I can fly and float or whatever comes with that, my body was doing something else. And the only way I've learned, again, preaching presence here, I've learned, and from that presence, I'm learning so much. It's like I'm rewriting so much right now, is again, by becoming, thanks to Eckhart, by becoming fully present with the inner body and starting to listen to its communication and understanding what is it that it's trying to tell me. And, you know, I'm able to start, you know, finally working on my nervous system, you know, like that's it on the wall. Like, oh my God, I have so many things everywhere right now just to work on my nervous system. Because like Dr. Joe, you know, I wrote down a quote, hang on, I'll read it, because I have something similar as well. And Dr. Joe said the body will only accept, believe, or surrender to a thought that is equal to our emotional state. In other words, a thought that's equal to our state of consciousness. And I say the same exact statement, except for the universe, right? So when we're manifesting, right, the universe will only accept, believe, or surrender or respond to, is what I replace that with, right? To a thought that is equal to our emotional state. So we have to be vibrating, like Rachel was mentioning, right? In the frequency of what it is that we want to manifest. So if my nervous system, for example, is wired to stimulate a stress response, but I'm meditating and my mind is in meditative bliss, it doesn't matter how much bliss I experience in my mind, because my body, whether it's bliss or whether it's in danger, it treats that the same way as stress. I had to go deep into understanding it to even find that, like, oh my God, I'm getting chest pain while I'm meditating. What? Right? So it has been a learning curve. But again, Dr. Joe, you know, he talked about, you know, the power of intention, right? And the intention. So once I recognize that, oh my goodness, so this is what's happening into my body, which is contrary to everything else I've been experienced through my meditation and everything else that I'm doing. I need to meet my body where my body's at, and teach my body to communicate with my body, not my mind to my body. That's not happening, right? And in order to do that, inner body communication is by, like Eckhart teaches us, connecting to that inner body. And man, sometimes it feels like it has felt like I was starting from scratch, the whole process all over again. But that's okay, you know, because I am starting from scratch when I'm connecting to my inner body in a way that I've negotiated away before, when I'm aware that, oh my gosh, it's so easy. We learn these habits because I was so much more attached to the external, I was forgetting, not remembering me, not remembering the essence of who all of us are, the beautiful essence that we are, right? We've become so disconnected from it. So this in itself to me is manifestation, because again, if we're going to heal the physical body, it needs to hear us first, right? And in order for it to hear us, we need to speak the same language. Not my mind telling me that I'm speaking that language, but that's just the mind doing what the mind does, right? But yeah, body to body, and it all again comes down to mindfulness, presence. Actually, even the word mindful, I want to eliminate that from my vocabulary, because mind and full, presence has nothing to do with the full mind, right? It's empty mind. So I'm having issues with that word right now. I'm in the process of moving into, I guess, another stage of my growth, or my remembering, actually, let's say, because even the word growth, I'm removing that too. Yeah, into my remembering. And yeah, I'm becoming really conscious about words. So yeah, that's kind of like my smallest 2 cents of, meditation.
Beautiful.
Presence. Thank you, Poonam.
Infinite gratitude, Francesca. I think you gave one of the biggest tips, which is inner body meditation. A lot of people seem to think, and Kelly used to always argue, right, that Eckhart does not have any physical body work, but Eckhart speaks so much about inner body meditation, and he leads people during his retreats into an inner body meditation. I actually have a meditation, and Kimming does the same thing. So the inner body, right, April, like one of the biggest things is to inhabit our body to do the spiritual work. So I think we are at the top of the hour. It's been a beautiful, beautiful session. Y'all are like what I would say, big, beautiful beings of light. So cannot thank y'all enough. Eternally grateful for your presence. Wishing y'all will be back in 2 weeks. And many blessings. Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. Many blessings. Much love to all. Good night. Bye.